After my husband died, I put his things in storage. My neighbor offered to keep watch over it. Months later, I discovered the lock cut and items missing. I broke down. She said quietly, "The dead don't need keepsakes. The living do." I checked online and found his war medals listed for sale. When I arrived at the seller's address, I was shocked to see. My husband died last spring. April 17th, to be exact. His name was Frank, and he served in the Marines for over a decade. He went through hell overseas, 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. He made it back, but he was never fully the same. He had nightmares, mood swings, and pain that never went away. Still, he tried. He loved me. I know he did. We lived in Cedar Hill, Texas. Small place, mostly quiet. People mowed their lawns on weekends and waved when you passed by. I thought we had a decent community. I really did. After Frank died, I couldn't handle being surrounded by his stuff. Every room held something that reminded me of him, his old boots by the door, his military jacket on the hook in the hallway, even his damn toothbrush still in the bathroom. I cried just walking past our closet. So I packed everything up. His uniforms, his medals, the letters he sent me when he was deployed, his Marine photo and that sharp dress blues uniform he hated taking, everything. I rented a storage unit just outside of town, near the highway. Clean place. Cameras on the outside. I thought it would be safe. My neighbor, Janice, had lived next door to us for years. She was always friendly in a nosy kind of way. After Frank's funeral, she brought over some casserole and told me she drove by that part of town a lot. Said if I wanted, she could keep an eye on the storage unit. Make sure no one messed with it. I didn't think twice. I thanked her. Weeks turned into months. I didn't visit the unit much. Honestly, it still hurt too much to look at his things. But I paid the bill each month. I figured when I was ready, I'd go through it all again. Then one day in August, I found an old shoebox filled with our wedding photos. I decided to take it to the storage unit and put it with his things. When I got there, something felt off right away. The lock on the door wasn't the one I bought. Mine was black, heavy-duty. This one was silver, cheaper. My stomach dropped. I flagged down the manager. He pulled up my unit on the system and said there had been no report of a lock change. He offered to cut it open for me. The second he pulled the door up, I knew. The unit was almost empty. Gone were the boxes of letters. His uniforms. His medals. The wedding album. Even the damn folded American flag from his funeral. The one the Marines handed to me with solemn faces, their hands shaking slightly as they passed it over. I dropped to my knees and screamed. I couldn't believe it. It felt like someone had dug up his grave and walked off with the pieces of him that I had left. I don't know how long I sat there. I think I cried until my eyes hurt too much to stay open. I drove home shaking. When I pulled into my driveway, I saw Janice on her porch, watering her plants. She waved and said, "Everything okay, hon?" I walked up to her. I told her someone broke into the storage unit. That they stole everything. I was crying so hard I could barely get the words out. She didn't hug me. Didn't even flinch. Instead, she said, "Maybe it's for the best." I stared at her, confused. She looked right at me and said, real calm, "The dead don't need keepsakes. The living do." At first, I didn't understand. I just stood there, frozen. My ears were ringing. My legs felt weak. That night, something inside me snapped. I couldn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., I got out of bed and turned on my laptop. I started searching. Facebook Marketplace. eBay. Craigslist. I typed in Marine medals, Purple Heart, military memorabilia. It didn't take long. There was a listing on Craigslist. Local. Set of marine metals and a glass case. The photo was blurry, but I recognized the Purple Heart. The Navy commendation. The mark on the wooden frame, Frank had carved a little F+R on the back when he gave them to me after his retirement ceremony. I remembered it like it was yesterday. They were asking for $800. I messaged the seller. Said I was interested. They gave me an address in Red Oak, about 25 minutes away. I didn't wait. The next morning, I drove there. I didn't even brush my hair or eat. I just got in my car and went. The address led me to a plain house. Brick walls, old truck in the driveway, overgrown lawn. I parked across the street and sat there for a moment. My hands were shaking. Then I got out and walked up to the door. I knocked. It opened. And there she was. Janice. In a bathrobe, sipping coffee, like nothing was wrong. She didn't look shocked. Not even surprised. She looked me up and down and said, "Well, come on in, then." I didn't move. I looked past her. There, on the living room table, in plain sight, was the medal case. Frank's medals. And beside it, his folded funeral flag. I walked inside. My throat felt tight. I couldn't speak. I picked up the metal case with both hands and stared at it. My fingers traced the wood frame. I flipped it over. The carving was still there. F+R. I turned to her. "What the hell is wrong with you?" She sat down in her recliner, took another sip of coffee, and said, "You let it all sit there in the dark. I figured they'd mean more to someone else. And I needed the money." I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit her. But I couldn't move. "You broke into my unit. You sold my husband's things like junk. You stole from me," I said, my voice shaking. She shrugged. "They're just things." She didn't even pretend to be sorry. I picked up the flag, tucked it under my arm, and turned to leave. "You can't prove anything," she said behind me. "So go ahead. Call the cops. See what happens." I stopped at the door. My fingers clenched the doorknob so hard my knuckles turned white. I didn't say another word. But that moment, standing in her house, surrounded by what she stole from me, that's when I decided this wasn't over. Not even close. I got home with the medal case and the flag, but I wasn't okay. I sat on the edge of my bed with the flag in my lap, staring at it. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I thought about calling the police, but I kept hearing her voice in my head, "You can't prove anything." She was right. No cameras inside the unit. No receipts. I didn't have pictures of every item. And the medals? They didn't have serial numbers. They weren't traceable. And worst of all, she knew it. She'd planned it that way. But I wasn't just going to let this go. The next day, I started digging. I checked my emails from the storage company and remembered something. The unit had been accessed once in June using a staff override code. The manager said it was probably a mistake, that someone had opened the wrong unit while cleaning out a delinquent one. I asked him to check the access logs again. He hesitated, but when I said the police might want to see them, he printed them out. There it was. One entry. June 12, accessed at 2:41 p.m. I remembered that date. I'd been out of town at a grief support retreat. She knew I'd be gone. Now I had something. I went home and started writing everything down. Times, dates, conversations. I printed screenshots of the Craigslist post. I even made a copy of the reply she sent me when I messaged her pretending to be a buyer. Then I called the police. I filed a report for theft and trespassing. The officer took it down, but I could tell he didn't think anything would come of it. No hard evidence. No witnesses. He was polite but basically said not to get my hopes up. So I took a different route. Frank had a buddy named Marcus who still lived nearby. They served together overseas. Marcus used to come by the house every couple weeks to check on us. After Frank died, he backed off a bit, said he didn't want to intrude, but I knew he still cared. I called him. When I told him what happened, he was quiet for a long time. Then he asked for Janice's full name and address. "Just leave it to me for a bit," he said. "Don't do anything yet." I didn't ask questions. A few days later, I got a text from Marcus, "She's selling more stuff." On Facebook. Different profile. He sent me the link. Same kind of things. Military jackets, patches, an old Kevlar vest. I recognized the vest. Frank wore it during his second tour. She was still selling his things. That's when I knew this wasn't just about money. She was enjoying this. Selling off his life piece by piece. That night, I made a fake profile. Different name, different picture. I messaged the seller, asking about the vest. She replied right away, used the same pickup address, her house. I made an appointment to come by it the next day. But I had no intention of paying. I showed up early the next morning. Parked a block away and waited. 10 minutes before the meetup time, Marcus pulled up beside me. He looked dead serious. Said he brought a friend. That friend? A guy named Curtis. Ex-Marine. Bigger than Marcus. Quieter. They both came with body cams clipped under their shirts. "We're not gonna hurt her," Marcus said. "We're just gonna get the truth on camera." We walked up to Janice's front door together. When she opened it, her smile vanished. "You again," she said to me. Then she saw Marcus and Curtis behind me. "Who the hell are they?" "We just want to talk," Marcus said, calm and steady. "About what you've been doing." She tried to slam the door, but Curtis caught it with one hand. Strong, like it was nothing. "Get out of my house," she shouted. "You've been selling stolen property," Marcus said. "And we've got you on record. Everything. Craigslist posts. Your messages. You sold war medals that weren't yours. That's federal, by the way." Her face turned pale. "You can't prove anything," she said again, but her voice wasn't steady this time. "We already have proof," I said, stepping forward. "And we're going to the police, with video now." "You think anybody's gonna care?" she snapped. "He's dead. You let his stuff rot in a metal box. I gave it a second life." Marcus stepped in closer. "Say that again. Say that to her face." She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Then I saw it, on the kitchen counter, behind her. A stack of boxes. Frank's old deployment bags. Labeled with his name in black marker. She hadn't even hidden them. Marcus pulled out his phone and started recording. "That's stolen property. You're done, Janice," he said. She lunged for the phone, but Curtis stepped between them. I grabbed one of the boxes and walked out. They followed, each taking something. She didn't stop us. Didn't even try. She just stood there, shaking, hands clenched, mouth tight like she was about to scream. When we got to the car, Marcus turned to me and said, "You still want to go through the cops, or you want to hit her where it really hurts?" I looked at the boxes in the back seat. Then at Janice's house. And I knew exactly what I was going to do next. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of my living room with Frank's deployment bags all around me. I opened each one slowly, like I was peeling back layers of time. Inside were things I thought I'd never see again: his old combat boots, a stack of letters he never mailed, even his flask with the chipped corner from a fall in Fallujah. But it wasn't just that she stole these things. It was that she used them. Posted them online. Lied to my face. Mocked my grief. Like Frank's life was just inventory for her to flip. That night, I made my decision. I wasn't going to the cops anymore. I was going after her my way. Marcus knew someone who did freelance IT work. He was one of those guys who could find anything online. I asked him to dig into Janice, her finances, her accounts, everything. I didn't expect much. Maybe I'd find out she was broke and desperate. But what he found was worse. She wasn't struggling. She was profiting. She had a second bank account under her maiden name. It was loaded. Thousands of dollars in deposits, all labeled with keywords like vintage gear, military collectibles, World War II rifle pins. She'd been doing this for years. It wasn't just Frank. She'd stolen from other families. Vets. Widows. Probably from estate sales, maybe even nursing homes. She took whatever she could, cleaned it up, and sold it to collectors who didn't ask questions. And nobody ever pressed charges because people like me, grieving, tired, broken, don't usually fight back. That's what she counted on. So I made it public. I wrote everything out. The whole story, Frank's death, the storage unit, the medals online, the confrontation, the bank account. I posted it on the Cedar Hill Community Facebook group. And it exploded. People shared it like wildfire. Comments poured in. Some from folks I didn't even know. Others from people who did know Janice. A woman from 3 blocks away messaged me saying Janice had offered to help clean out her late father's garage after he passed. Said later she couldn't find half his military pins. Another woman said her grandfather's trumpet from Korea vanished after Janice came by to help pack up for donation. It was a pattern. She found grieving families, offered help, then picked them clean. I took it all and brought it to a local veterans nonprofit. They had connections, media ties, and legal resources. When they saw the screenshots, the Craigslist ads, the banking info, they went nuclear. Within 2 days, Channel 8 News was at my front door asking for an interview. I said yes. I sat on my porch and told them everything. I didn't use fake names. I didn't blur my face. I wanted people to see me. The story aired that Friday night. By Saturday morning, Janice's name was all over the news. Local woman accused of exploiting veteran families was the headline. And that was just the beginning. The nonprofit filed a civil suit. Other victims came forward. The police, now under pressure, reopened my case and pulled the access logs from the storage facility. They subpoenaed her online profiles and banking records. Within a week, she was arrested. They charged her with multiple counts of felony theft, fraud, and possession of stolen property. But that still wasn't the end. Because while the legal process started crawling forward, I had one more card to play. Marcus and I started organizing a community memorial for Frank and the other veterans who'd had their belongings stolen. Not just a quiet candlelight thing. A public event. Speakers. Flags. Tables with recovered items. Local news coverage. We held it at the town square on Veterans Day. Hundreds showed up. And when it started, I stood up and told Frank's story, start to finish. Then I pointed to the empty table behind me. The one with a sign that read, "Still missing." Dozens of names. Dozens of items never recovered. Because of Janice. She watched from her car. Parked down the street. I saw her. She knew I saw her. I walked off the stage and straight toward her. She started to drive off, but I stepped right in front of her car. She rolled down the window halfway. "You got what you wanted," she hissed. "I lost everything." I leaned down, looked her dead in the eye, and said, "Not yet." Because what I didn't tell her. I'd contacted her old church. The veteran nonprofit had reached out to every organization she was part of. Her name was being scrubbed from every list. Her grandkids' school PTA removed her. The retirement homes she once volunteered at banned her for life. She wasn't just exposed. She was done. After Veterans Day, it all snowballed. The town turned on her fast. Janice tried to walk around like nothing happened, like she was still the nice lady who brought casseroles to funerals. But people crossed the street when they saw her. Stores stopped greeting her. Her grandkids got pulled from school by their parents. People didn't want them around the woman who stole from the dead. Then came court. She thought she could play the victim. She showed up wearing soft colors, clutching a tissue, claiming she had mental lapses and couldn't remember selling anything. Her lawyer said she was under stress and that it was all a misunderstanding. That maybe I had given her permission and forgotten. But we had everything. The video of her house, my husband's belongings all around. The Facebook and Craigslist listings tied to her IP. The bank records. The other family's testimonies. The nonprofit had hired a private investigator who dug up even more. She'd been part of 2 estate auctions where items were quietly lost and later resold online. The judge looked right at her and said, "You didn't just steal things. You stole memories. You stole honor. You preyed on grief." She got sentenced to 3 years in county jail and 5 years probation after that. But that wasn't the revenge that mattered most to me. That came later. After the sentencing, I walked outside the courthouse. It was cloudy that day, windy. I stood under a big oak tree, holding Frank's metal case in my arms. The news crew tried to stop me for another interview. I ignored them. Then I saw her daughter. Janice's daughter, Shelby, came up to me. She was shaking. "I'm sorry," she said. She looked me in the eyes, and I could tell she meant it. I didn't know. I didn't know what she'd been doing. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. $3,000. "She drained my dad's account too," she said. "We're selling her house. This is yours. I'm sorry for everything." I took the check. Not for the money. For the meaning behind it. The house did get sold. Word was it went for cheap. Neighbors didn't want anything to do with it. Before they cleared it out, one of the movers found a locked box in the attic. It had more stolen things. Letters from a Vietnam vet to his wife. A bronze star. A hand-drawn map from a Korean War unit. They were returned. Frank's name, his memory, was cleaned up, honored, seen. But me? I wasn't the same. I had changed. I stopped letting people walk over me. I joined the local military family support group. I told my story on every platform I could. Not to get attention, but to warn people. To wake them up. Grief makes you slow. Foggy. You want to believe people are kind. But there are people like Janice in every town, people who smile while they stab. And me? I stayed quiet too long. That was my mistake. But never again. A few months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo of Frank during basic training. One I didn't even know existed. On the back, scribbled in old ink, were the words, "Semper Fi, brother. Rest easy." Attached was a note, "This came through the nonprofit. Found in an old trunk someone sold years ago. Thought you should have it." I sat on my porch holding that photo, staring at his young face. I smiled. Because even though he was gone, I had finally gotten him back. Piece by piece. Honor restored. And justice, delivered.